So this is a workshop we've done quite a few times, and the artist Dorothy Jett Carter, who's mostly a fiber artist as well as jewelry artist, has helped us prepare it. She couldn't be here today, so we incorporate some of her thoughts in here. So let's start with the notion. Setting prices is like choosing fresh fruit. Now, anybody who knows me knows I'm a fruitaholic. I love fruit. But there's also an art and a science to choosing fruit, and it takes you some time and attention. And like good fruit, you've got to take the time so the results will be delicious and that there will also be balanced nutrition. Now, I don't know why I came up with this analogy, but it is true. It is true. There's a lot of different choices to make, and some of it is based on your own sensibility and tastes. So there's also many different kinds of art that you will price in your lifetime. And some of them will be one-of-a-kind paintings, like the one with the lady with the kimono, that's by Natasha Guest. Some of them might be limited edition prints, like the lips down there by Maui Rose, or it might be a larger edition series. So here's the fundamental thing that Mint tries to teach all artists. Your price is your price is your price. You need to be consistent with your pricing. That's Dorothy Jett Carter. And what does that mean to you as an artist? That means whether you're selling your art out of your home, out of the back of a car, in the highest quality gallery in New York, or at an art fair with Mint Artist Guild, your pricing needs to be consistent. Your pricing needs to be the same. And this is super important because imagine somebody sees your work at a gallery and doesn't buy it, and then comes to your studio opening in your home and discovers the price is 50% lower or higher. They're going to feel like they can't trust your pricing. They're going to feel, uncomfortable with you as a person, as an artist who doesn't have integrity. Also, it's so easy and it's so likely that people may, if they're thinking about a larger piece from you, Google you, and look you up and see, like you had a piece for sale at the Detroit Artist Market, and it was $200, and it's remarkably similar in price, in size, to the piece you have there at the Palmer Park Art Fair, which is only priced at $150. Well, why is that? And they're going to feel like something isn't right with this person. They don't know what they're doing on pricing. So consistency in your pricing in many places is important. There can be some variety depending on how much time and effort you put into a painting, but once you price the painting, you keep that price, set for a good period of time. Any questions on that? Okay, so Dorothy Jett Carter has a pretty good pricing strategy that when she taught this, I thought it was really good. Your price should include 3 things: the cost of all the materials and supplies that you need to make the work. That can include some of the cost of buying paintbrushes, of buying palettes, of frames, all the materials, the cost of your labor and your creativity. Now that's a harder one to figure out, but we'll talk about that in a minute. And then there's the miscellaneous costs, the markup. She says this covers things like transporting your art to a gallery, dropping it off at a gallery, or the cost of, borrowing supplies from another artist or other factors. And she suggests that should be about 10 to 15% of the price of your piece of work. So it's three main factors: the material cost and supplies, your labor and creativity, and the miscellaneous costs. So the labor piece might be the hardest one to figure out. So how do you price your time and your labor? If you are an emerging artist, you might, and I might need to raise this because, wages have been going up, but you might value your time at somewhere between, say, $10 to $17 an hour. Professional artists should value themselves higher than that. And some artists would value themselves at $75, $60 an hour if they've got a lot of years of experience. So you decide what you think your value of your time is in making artwork. I give the median hourly wage of artists, that was a couple years ago, was $23.44 an hour. And that means all artists. That means, it includes a wide variety of artists doing a wide variety of things. And the median price means half make more than that. So, that half of them could make 50 or 60 an hour. So here's some ideas on the costs that you could include in your pricing. So all equipment and tools you use to make the art supplies and materials. If you have a website, the cost of website hosting, the application fees and artist membership fees. So if you joined, say, like the Scarab Club or the Detroit Artist Market or another group that has an annual fee, that could be included in your pricing. The commission and event fees. Galleries do take a commission, so does Mint. We'll talk about commissions in a little bit. The cost of food at events. So if you put in, you're going to do 4 events this year and you're going to spend $20 a day on food, you figure that out by how many pieces of art. Let's just do that. So you figure you're going to do 5 events this year and you're going to spend on average $20 on food and drinks at the event. So that would be $100, right, in food at event cost. And then if you said you're going to make 25 paintings to cover the cost of $100, that would be $4 per painting for your food cost, right? And you might put it just in the paintings and not in the prints because it would be easier that way. But starting to think about this and having an idea of all the costs. When you're older, you might rent a studio. You might have to pay a portion of the cost of your apartment would go towards this. If there's a corner of your apartment, you could take part of the rent on that. So this is kind of a pretty good list of things you can include in your pricing now and in the future. So let's stop for a minute and say there's actually about 2 or 3 different prices you can talk about on art pricing. First is the retail price. So the retail price of something is the price the public pays for it at an art fair, in an online shop, on Etsy, in a gallery, or buying direct from you. That's the retail price. Or most people just think of that as the price, right, of something. But there's also a price that is called the wholesale price of something. And that's the price that if a shop in downtown Detroit or in St. Clair Shores decides they want to carry 3 of your pieces and they're going to buy it from you and then resell it. So, and And so you give them a discount on your retail price. So if the retail price of your piece is $120, you want them to sell it for about that price. Because remember, your price is your price is your price. So the wholesale price might be, some people think it should be about 50% of the retail price. I think it could be a little higher. So if your retail price is 120, you might wholesale it at $60. And some artists will only offer wholesale prices if a shop is buying quite a few pieces, like 5 pieces or more. So it's up to each artist to decide whether they're going to wholesale it to a gallery or a retailer and what that price discount is. Now, once you sell it outright to the gallery or store, they can price it however they want. They can price it. I'll give you an example. So most of you know that Mint has some greeting cards, right? And we make greeting cards of youth art. And we generally sell those greeting cards for between $5 and $6 on our website, at events. And for a while, they were all $5. Then I raised the price on a few. But then we wholesaled a bunch of the cards to the DIA, to the DIA museum shop. And they were like, oh, and our wholesale price on those was, I think it was like $3, $3.50, between $3 and $3.50, you know. And they said, oh, well, then we're going to retail them for $6.95 because they wanted to make more money on the cards. So once you wholesale it, you lose some control over what the price of your work will be. And not every gallery or store wholesales, but those are 2 different kinds of pricing. And some artists say, you know, they prefer not to wholesale. Some artists love wholesale. So we could talk more about that at another point. So I'm going to skip some of the pricing mistakes because I don't want to talk about mistakes today. I want to talk about what we're going to do right. So let's talk about your commission. You want to price your work so you can pay a commission to a gallery or to Mint or to someone else. So you want to use to figure the commission into the final price of the work you sell, even if you're not going to pay a commission sometimes, because sometimes you are and you want to keep the price consistent. So, and sometimes the commission is going to be 50%, not 25 or 30% or 40%. So this is an estimate of how to do the pricing on your commission. If you assume that you need to receive at least $75 for your piece of art, then, and that's based on, you know, the things we talked about, the 3 things we talked about earlier, then you multiply 75 times 1.675, and that equals $125.25. And that is your minimum price on the art. If you mark it up only 40%, it doesn't cover the full commission. So Dorothy Jet Carter suggests taking what you think the minimum you should receive, and using this approach to figure out your price. And why does this work? It works because it gives you a figure you can live with and still make the amount you think you should make from your art. Okay, so Dorothy has a really good strategy for how to price your work using the material costs and your time and your creativity. But I also think it's worthwhile for artists to do a little comparison shopping and understand what other artists are pricing their work at. Because in most cases, you're going to be in a group of other artists, whether it's, at an art fair or in a group show. And so understanding how your prices and your work looks in the marketplace is a good thing to do. And you're going to want to compare things that are comparable to your work, same material, same size, artists with the same amount of experience. So here's some places you can go to look for how to compare your prices. So you can go to Etsy. That's a pretty easy one. You can go to a site called Fine Art America. You can go to Saatchi Art. It has a search bar, so you can search. You can go to a group show at a gallery. You can go to an art fair and wander around and look at prices. And you can look on Instagram, although some artists don't put their prices right out there on Instagram. I've seen more and more artists say, DM me if you want a price, if you're interested in this piece, and they don't put the price on it. So these are some ways to compare, to look at work that's similar to yours. And again, you're going to want to be looking at emerging artists, young artists, not artists who have like 10 to 15 years experience or, 13,000 followers on Instagram, so that they're more comparable to you. And then let's talk for a minute about commissions. So the commission is the amount that the organization or the gallery keeps from your price. So some artists call it the split, right? It's the split. How much do you get and how much does the venue keep? The most common commission in Detroit is about 40%. So the gallery gets 40% of the price and the artist receives 60%. Now, why is that? Because the gallery has to pay, their staff, they have to pay for the space, they have to pay for the marketing, they have to create videos about you. They have a customer base that they work with, and they provide the treats and the opening and all the other things. So the percent that the commission covers helps the gallery stay in business, and also make sure that the gallery feels good about, being able to, continue to represent you. So Mint charges a commission of 20% in general. So, and we specifically priced our commission lower than really everybody else, because we want to help young artists get started. But when you start putting your work in other gallery shows and other group shows, you will start paying more like 30, 35, 40, even 50%, and some up to 60%. So, all right, we're going to skip this one. Okay, here's a good quote. If my prices don't make me feel at least a little uncomfortable that I'm charging too much, I'm probably undercharging. Artist Melissa Dinwiddie in the Abundant Artist blog post. I love this quote because I think many, many, many artists underprice their work. So I'm going to take a minute and ask Faith to tell about the time that I made her raise. I didn't make you, but I strongly encouraged you to raise your prices, right?
Well, Miss Vicky does that all the time. So, yeah, at the Eastern Market, I had these little pieces. They were about very small, like 4x4s of these birds. They were highly detailed, and I put a lot of time into it. And I had them priced at like what, $15 or $25, I think. And Miss Vicky, she said like raise it up to like 47 or some like big number. I was like, nobody's gonna pay for that. And they also, so it did like make me a little uneasy, but I'm glad I did that because at least it like, you know, showed how much work I put into it and how much time and stuff.
Yep. And I try to be, you know, I try to be thoughtful about when I suggest you raise your prices, because I know people know that you're young, that you're still maybe still in high school, and yet you have to value your work. And you might feel a little uncomfortable when I first suggest it. And the final decision is up to you as the artist, whether you follow my recommendation or not. But I will tell you, I have recommended many artists raising their prices, and I think they've all been pretty happy with the outcome. Even if you sell one or two fewer pieces, if you sell it for a lot more, you'll still end up with more money in your pocket at the end of the event. So another point we make a lot is discounts are for supermarkets or Target or Walmart. So we suggest that you never discount your prices. If you have a friends and family discount, make sure you develop that as part of your policies and practices and keep it consistent. So if you offer your friends and family 25% off, make sure that's what you're doing, and you're not, you know, like giving one 30% off or one 20% off, or have a policy on that, and maybe, you know, like think it through. Some artists do offer a little discount if people buy two or more pieces with them. If you do, keep it really small. A few artists will offer discounts if people pay cash. You know, I've seen like a 10% discount if you pay cash. That could make sense, because then you don't have to pay the online fees, you know, to take their credit card and get it into your bank. So, and I will tell you that many event organizers, art fair organizers, do not like to see like sale price, you know, in an artist booth. They don't like to see that, and it could discourage them from inviting you back to their event. So really discount very, you know, very seldom, if at all. There are artists who hold like end of season sales, like in January when it's a slow time. You could possibly think about doing that. But by and large, you just want to have your price is your price is your price. Okay. So what about someone who says, will you take a commission? That's a good question. So, and that's up to each artist to decide. But if you think you're going to do some custom work and let people commission you, you know, start now thinking about what does that look like and how would you do that? And remember that custom work should mean premium pricing. And why should it mean premium pricing? Because you are doing more of what the customer wants in the work and less of what you want as an artist. So there's some trade-off there. You're giving away a little bit of your artistic expression, and they're getting what they want, so they pay you a higher price for that. We are actually getting ready to offer a simple commission contract to Mint artists and alumni, and I will share that probably later this spring. I think we're going to have it downloadable on the Mint website. Don't hold me to that yet, but you know, if you're at an event and someone asks if you do commission and you haven't really gotten everything together, you can say, yes, I'm just about to start that, and you know, let me take your contact information and let's talk about it in a week or 10 days, and then you'll be scrambling to get all the details together. All right, let's talk for a minute about limited edition prints. So a limited edition print is just that. It's a print that has there's a limited number of them. And they're generally signed and numbered by the artist. So the print we're showing is our Rosa Parks print. It was created by an artist named Brian Wilson. It is a limited edition. I think we printed about 30 of them, and we've sold maybe about 20. That's an estimate. So how do you price your limited edition print? So the price is going to depend on the image and how much in demand and impactful that's going to be. If you had a Amanda Gorman limited edition print with the week, before or after she gave the inaugural poetry, at the President Biden's inauguration, it might be in higher demand than at another time. So that's one thing. How much demand will there be for the image? It also depends on the size of the edition, how many prints you're having made. An edition can be as small as 2, an edition of 2. It could be an edition of 3. It could be an edition of 100. Some artists make editions of 250, which is always amazing to me. And I never know how they can do that. But I guess they have multiple galleries that carry their prints. For emerging artists, you should be thinking about an edition size of maybe between 3 to about 20. I think that's probably a large enough edition size for most of what you're going to be doing. Now, if it sells out quickly and you think, oh man, I wish I'd made that a bigger edition, well, maybe your price was too low. And you can always reissue it and just make it at a larger size or do some more work on it if it's digital art and then reissue it. So the price also depends on whether you do, how you get the print made. And if you print it, if you print it at home on your digital printer, that's going to degrade. That's not going to last very long. But if you go to an art house or a gallery that does giclée printing, they might charge you $5 for each print to get it made, but it'll be on archival paper. It'll be higher quality ink. It'll look better. And then you can charge more for that. So the quality of the print and what kind of paper it's printed on does affect the price of the edition. And some people suggest that the price could be based on the original piece of art. So like I've seen some theories that say if your original piece is going to be priced at $200 and you have an edition of 10, then maybe you would price your prints at around $20. So 200 divided by 10, about $20 a piece. But I don't know whether I really believe that or not. I have seen artists and I have seen some people suggest that. If you're going to plan to do prints and sell them at the Palmer Park Art Fair and you want some advice on where to get your prints made, I can give you a few suggestions of places Mint uses. So just let me know that. Okay. I am going to talk about this pricing mistake because I think it is one that's worth considering. So when you price your work and you use a round number like $50 or $100 or $250, that can seem like kind of a mistake. It looks like you just picked the number from thin air or you took a guesstimate on it. So you want to use something that's more like a precise number. And there's actually research that shows that a price like 247 is better than 250 because people think that you gave it more thought and more care. So instead of $50, you might price your piece at $55 or $57. And it's up to you. But there's been a bunch of research that shows people tend to take more seriously prices that are not in those round numbers. So, okay. This is another strategy some artists, some 2D artists use, is they price their art by the square inch or by the linear foot. And I've actually heard of galleries that use this strategy as well for a lot of the work. And the amount varies depending on how much experience you have as an artist and how much reputation you have, from $1 to, actually it goes much higher than that. To update that, I've heard of some artists that charge like $25 a square inch. And the big advantage to using the price your art by the inch or by the foot is it's very consistent. Then your price is down, they can see little teeny painting by the square inches is always going to be whatever the price is. So you could use this approach if you wanted to price your work. I don't know that I would say I think it's the best approach, but it is an approach a lot of artists and some galleries use. You guys have any questions? I'm going to stop for a minute. Okay. So sharing your prices. So we suggest that before you go to an event, you have a price list for your art that's on a piece of paper that you can print out, so that if you're not there, somebody can at least check the prices. And you could put a tag on your art. You could put a little, sometimes people use like little circles. Some people put it on the back. They don't want it to be the first thing people look at. And there's a debate about whether you should have your prices up there front and center for people to see right away, or whether they have to talk to you about it and ask about it. I personally go both ways on this, but at a minimum, you want to have a price list for your work. Some people think it's just so much easier if you have the prices right there and have it so people can see it. And especially at a busy event, if there's going to be a lot of people in our tent, then they don't have to wait to talk to you. They can say, oh, wow, yeah, I like this. And the price is $47. And yeah, I'm going to take this. And so they don't have to consider it. Here's another pricing mistake I'm going to reveal to you, because this one is one that comes up a lot. Never, ever reveal how many hours it took you to compete. If you do that, and you'll be asked it a lot, you can just, come up with a general term. Oh, more time than I care to think about. Or, that one really bound up to be a demanding darling. Because otherwise, if you say, oh, that one took me like 5 hours to complete, and they're going to look at you, say, oh, you're a young person, 5 hours times $12 an hour, I should pay this for the piece. And that doesn't value your creativity or the other things you need to know. So never, ever say how many hours it took you to complete a piece of work. Plus, it's really not their business. So I'm going to talk about raising your prices. We already had the background that this is a time when prices are going up. Young artists can raise their prices as often as they want. And most professional artists may raise their prices like once a year or every other year. But you're not in that category yet. You might discover, you're going to be doing some trial and error on pricing. So you might raise your price like 3 times in a year. But just remember that once you raise it, that's your new price. Your price is your price is your price. So here's some suggestions. If you sell out all the work in a weekend, your prices are probably too low, and it's time to raise your prices before the next event, because that meant everybody saw them as like great work at a really affordable price. If your materials go up markedly, you can consider raising your prices. So if suddenly the specific kind of paint you use is 30% more, you might want to raise your prices a bit on that. Or if you do a bunch of market research, let's say you're at an art fair and you see all the other artists in the Mint tent, and you realize you're the lowest priced artist in the tent, might be time to raise your prices. Or you could go on Etsy and see it too and see what you find. But, people think that it's, and some artists do something that I think is interesting. They give people a chance, like, I'm going to be raising my prices on August the 1st. So last chance to buy these at the current prices. If you're, have an Instagram following, or if you had a website, that would make sense to give people who follow you a chance to buy your work before you raise the prices. So I'm going to talk about the power of buzz and being collected on your prices. And this artist right here is a Mint alumni named Akeem Salmon, who is really good at the buzz. And he connects really well with collectors, and has since he was in high school with us. So it's important for you to try to keep track of who's buying your art. And you can do that in a variety of ways. You can ask them if they would sign up for your email list and get their email that way. You can just ask them for their name. You can take some people take pictures of every artist who collects a piece of their work, and then they get permission to post it. Other things you can do that would connect you and get more buzz is make sure that you're making art that feels timely and relevant. Give media interviews. See Faith, all that arm twisting, that could help you raise your prices if you get seen in the media. Be the kind of artist that people want to collect. Be that artist who's always not just promoting your work, but promoting other artists' work. There's an artist whose work I shared earlier named Judy Bowman, who has become very highly collectible. And she's very generous with her support of other artists. And we try to encourage that. So thinking about who your collectors are, knowing who your collectors are, and how you're building your reputation as an artist can help you on pricing. I'm going to skip that. We artists sometimes price with our emotions. I need to look at how to sell and price my artwork objectively. Artist Lori Woodward in an Artist Network blog post. Pricing your work objectively can be really difficult, because if you're like a lot of artists, you pour a lot of yourself into your work, right? So pricing your work objectively means using some of the techniques we talked about, checking the marketplace, considering, the cost and time you spent on the work. Also, if you have a really, really wonderful piece that you made, that you love, you completely love, and you don't really want to sell it, then put it out there as not for sale, and don't put a price on it. Because if you love it that much, or if you, now if you bring it to an art fair or an event and it's listed as not for sale, someone may still try to buy it from you. And I've seen that happen too. So in the back of your mind, you have to decide, like, do you really love it that much? Or if someone offered you $900 for it, you would sell it, or whatever. You have to know in the back of your mind, like, there is a price at which I would sell it. So we're not going to do this today, but we are going to, at some point before the Palmer Park Art Fair, play a game we call The Price is Right, where we help each other set the prices on our art and talk about the prices on the art. But here's something you could do at home to get yourself started on this. Create an advisory board or a kitchen cabinet. And these could be people who bought your art before, other artists, family members who love art, and ask them to help you set your prices, on your work. Ask them, but don't ask your grandmother who buys her art at Walmart, because she's not buying the kind of art that we're selling at an art fair. And don't ask, your best friend who spends all her money, on multicolored, socks and avant-garde music, because she doesn't care about visual art. So, but getting a few people who will help you figure out your pricing strategy is really helpful.